So I just paid my property taxes here on Long Island in the state of New York, and a day does not go by that people come up to me and say how ridiculously high my property taxes are and how I need to move out of the state. And they tell me about how cheap theirs is and, what they would get if they lived here. It's unbelievable. And I can't say I agree or disagree. And it wasn't until I really dove into my property taxes and kind of saw where the money was going that I learned to almost kind of accept it. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how much my property taxes are, what the property taxes go to, and my opinion on if they are as ridiculous as everybody else in the country thinks they are. Before we dive into that, if you are new here, my name is Brad. I'm a school teacher here in the great state of New York. I just got done paying off $189,000 worth of debt in a little over 2 years with the help of my wife. Right now, we are building our path to financial independence, and I make videos on investing, savings, retirement. So if that's your sort of thing, consider subscribing and hit that bell notification. You'll get told every single time I release a video or I go live. I live on the south shore of Long Island in a town called West Islip, so pretty much dead smack in the middle of the island. I have a 3-bed, 2-bath house on a little under 1/4 of an acre. And frankly, I never knew what my property taxes were gonna go to. And it wasn't until I really understood and had a respect for money that I could think about exactly what kind of value I was getting out of my property taxes. Guys, we need to remember that every single time money changes hands, anytime you pay anything, you have to evaluate how much value that money spent has for you. And you have to also remember that everybody's values are different. One person could buy something and you could think that was absolutely ridiculous, but then again, to them, it brought a ton of value to their life. For example, I get criticized all the time for having a $30,000 truck. It's paid off. I own nothing on it, but you want to know what? It brings me so much value in my life. My family and I, we love off-roading. I used it for work. It's easy for us to get to the beach with the tailgate. It brings us a lot of value. And property taxes are pretty much the same thing. You are paying for certain services, and if you're not taking advantage of them, or if they don't bring you value, then property taxes can seem really, really ridiculous. When you look at your tax bill, you're gonna see a couple different things on there. And pretty much what happens is your property is going to be assessed a value by an assessor. They're a taxpayer just like you. They don't set the tax rate. All they do is assess the value of your property to keep it fair. You don't pay the same property taxes everyone on your block and in your town. It depends on the value of the house. And pretty much what that means is the county or your town, they go through all their budgets and they see how much money they need to operate. Then they look at how many people in the town can pay taxes, how many properties there are. But they don't split that number up evenly amongst all the houses. That wouldn't be fair. Kind of like if you went to dinner with a friend and they got a hot dog and you got a huge steak and a couple of drinks, and then they wanted to split the bill 50-50 with you. Like, no, you had a lot more expensive meal, so that should be broken up percentage-wise. So what the assessor does is they come in, they assess your property, then they go back to the town, and they take that percentage as compared to everybody else, and they give your property taxes a value. Now, the huge items that my property taxes go to are the school district, the police department, the fire department, and garbage. Those are really the big ones that are like over 2% of the whole total tax bill. Now for me, this is the big one. I pay $7,771 to the West Islip School District. That's 20% of the tax I pay. Now, my overall tax is about 26% of the assessed value of my home, which is, that depends on where you live. The town sets that tax rate depending on different things. If we look here, I have different tax rates depending on what it is. But the school, they take $7,700 every single year. So if we look at that value piece, like if you don't have kids in school, that's a lot of money to be paying if you're not going to use the school district. Or somebody like me, that's a school district. I am one of the highest paid teachers in the nation at over $100,000. And that's because of the high property taxes. So I kind of benefit both ways by that $7,000. If I look at my daycare costs right now, that's costing me like 24 grand to put my 2 kids through daycare right now. So to only pay $7,700 and be one of the top paid teachers in the nation, I have no problem paying $7,700. That's actually a huge discount to my life. The next one is our police department, the Suffolk County Police Department. You can Google the Suffolk County Police Department. They are one of, if not the highest paid police departments in the nation as well. Long Island's a pretty safe place to live. I've never had to worry about anything. We have our good towns, we have our not so good towns, but in general, Long Island is an extremely safe place to work. And the cops get paid well. The cops here started over six figures before overtime. So if you're a teacher that's like, oh man, I need to be making more, well, New York's kind of the place to do that. And if you're a cop that wishes you made some more, well, once again, New York is the place to do that. But because you're going to get paid so high, you have to pay a high premium for taxes. Just my school and my police department alone brings me just under $9,000 for the year. Everything else is pretty much miscellaneous. We have the water, looks like we have the fire department, lighting, roads, sewer districts, all these things that come from the town. They assess certain things. My property tax for the year is $11,509 for the whole year, which I pay bi-yearly. $5,754, as it says right there. And yeah, it's a lot of freaking money. And it doesn't come out of escrow. I pay that on my own because I hate the idea of escrow and letting somebody else get interest on my money. I'd rather save the money myself and get the interest in the savings. And once again, that's for a 1/4 acre, 3-bed, 2-bath house. It's not a castle. Now to the part that you've been waiting for. Do I think that my property taxes are ridiculous? Am I going to be looking to get out of the state? And should other people here in New York be looking to get out? And if you're trying to come here, is that a viable thing for you to do? Well, once again, look at that value. If I could move somewhere and make a comparable income and save $6,000 or $7,000 on property, yeah, I'm going to do that. But you have to understand, at $106,000 teaching salary for me and my wife, even if I went somewhere that had no property taxes, I got to get paid at least 95 grand a year to break even on that. It's not worth it for me to take a 40 or 50% pay cut to save $6,000 or $7,000 in taxes. For me, my career far outweighs that offset in property taxes. And if you're a police officer here, that's pretty much the same for you as well. And not that we're stuck here. I mean, we do pretty well, and it's an awesome place to live. I'm 30 miles from New York City. I'm into sports. I pretty much have 2 sports teams for every professional sport. I have beaches. I have wineries. I have the country. I have farms. I have it all here. Not to mention some of the best school districts in the country and one of the safest towns. The West Side Public School Systems, they rank one of the highest in the nation. And that's important to me. At the end of the day, are my property taxes ridiculous? Are you going to jump down in the comments and tell me where I should live or how much your taxes are? Well, you have to remember, before you really look at like the price tag, you have to think of the value itself. If you're not into the city or the beaches, or you don't have kids in school, you're not a teacher, crime isn't really that big of a deal for you, then yeah, maybe paying the New York premium for property taxes is not valuable to you, and the price of real estate and the price of property taxes here in New York would be ridiculous. But if you're like me, a guy that loves the beach, a guy that loves shooting out to the wineries, a guy that loves heading in to catch a Ranger game or a Jet game or a Giant game or a Knick game or a Met game or a Yankee game or just hanging out in the greatest city in the world, you might want to pay a premium for that. I don't mind paying for it. Not to mention, like I said, my high teaching salary, I said, tell me about your low property taxes, but then tell me how much you make as a teacher as well, and you'll see that there's a very, very big difference. I think like anything, you get what you pay for. We pay a higher property tax than a lot of places in the nation, but we have a lot more amenities than other places in the nation, just like an apartment building. Yeah, you can get a cheap apartment, but does it have a gym? Does it have a pool? Does it have a courtyard? Sometimes you want to pay extra for those amenities if they make your life better and they bring you value. And frankly, here in New York, the property taxes at over $10,000 and going up every single year, really don't bother me because I take advantage of everything that Long Island and New York has to offer. I'm curious, and I'm sure other people are curious too. Get down in the comments below. Tell me how much your property taxes are and where you live. I really am curious. One day, maybe I'll be a guy that's just ready to settle down, find a quiet place to live with not a lot of amenities, and have really, really low property taxes. I'm really interested to hear where you live and also how much you pay in property taxes. Until I see you on the next one, guys, stay positive, work really, really hard, always be kind to other people. I hope you have yourself an amazing day and an even better tomorrow.